Hello, teammates, and welcome to The Goal Diggers, a program where we discuss stories of leadership and motivation with sports serving as a metaphor dedicated to daily grinders, corporate athletes, and go getters. This is Simone Haldon, digging in with my co hosts, Relly San Agustin and Robbie De Vera, and we are your resident goal diggers. So, in our previous episode, we had a conversation with one of the forerunners of sports psychology in the Philippines, Doc Marisa Ginto, who shared with us how high performers consistently achieve success through the lessons she reaped from working with Filipino world champions. And she shares that wherever we are, and when it comes to achieving our goals, it helps to, number one, develop personal meaning. Know why you want to succeed and find that internal meaning, that hugot, that personal value, because having that to hold on to can be very powerful. Number two, be intentional in the execution. Champions have an ardent desire in their field and have relentless determination and do things with purpose. Number three, embrace adversity as a necessity. Know that there is value in failure and it helps to learn to embrace and honor adversity as a sacred reality of high performance for the path toward success. Such great tips on how to be a high performer from Doc Marisa. And everything she shared is related to what we have in store for you today. But of course, I wouldn't be able to do this without the help of my fellow goal diggers. So, Relly, Robbie, what can our teammates expect from this episode?
Hello, teammates. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome you guys again to another episode. Thanks for joining us. We hope you will stick around for this whole program today, as today is a very, very special episode. One, as we talk about one of humankind's most dreaded feeling, and a feeling that prevents us from doing things with ease or taking on new things. And this feeling is what we call fear. How do we break it? Realize that our greatest self is on the other side of it, and what will it take to overcome it? To tell you more about this and to introduce our special guest, here's Robbie.
Thanks, Rels. So, hey teammates, we're excited to welcome our next guest who is a personal icon of ours and as well as the country's aspiring swimmers. We got another kindred individual here, a fellow gold digger and one of the most accomplished athletes in the country, in none other than our next guest, Akiko Thomson-Guevara. So we hope you stay tuned as we dig into how she can teach us a thing or two about how to develop courage in our effort to become high performers like her. So back to you, Sim.
Thanks, Robbie. So, like what Robbie said, we have with us today one of the most accomplished athletes in the country, a swimming champion who has represented the Philippines in 5 Southeast Asian Games and 3 Olympics. Some of you might also know her during her time as a TV host for Game Plan, and she was a sports commissioner in the PSC from 2008 to 2016, and now she's the president of the Philippine Olympians Association. I actually mentioned her guest last season during our kickoff episode, and how I really look up to her, not only because of her achievements but because of her advocacies and her visibility and for her being a voice for women in sports and choosing to stay involved to bring Philippine sports forward. So it's such a privilege to finally have her guest here. So let's all welcome Akiko Thomson-Guevara.
Thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be with you on your show today. Thank you. Yeah.
So, Akiko, what have you been up to lately?
Well, so we were running a swim school pre-COVID, and that all shut down just as summer came along, which is our busiest season, and that was very challenging, but everyone's pretty much in the same boat. But I think the blessing also was that I have 3 young kids, and so just being there for them as they also adjusted to online school. It's hard, especially for young kids, and the parents. And I'm learning too how to just back off and pick and choose my battles with them. But yeah, I've been taking some courses online and really been very much involved with the Philippine Olympians Association and the work that we're doing there.
So can you tell us more about what you're doing with the Philippine Olympians Association?
Yeah. So, gosh, I've been involved since the get-go, and in I think it was 14 or 15, when our president then passed away, I took on the role as president of the Philippine Olympians, and right now surprisingly, despite COVID, we've been so active. I mean, pre-COVID, we were doing a lot of sports clinics with the street children, send-offs and whatnot. But this past year, we initiated a mental wellness sessions for our national athletes. We started an online sports leadership program with someone we all know, Noli, and some of getting the Olympians to be speakers. And then just more recently, we're embarking on a passion project of ours, which is to document our participation in the Olympic Games, and we're creating a website for ourselves and putting all the database online and accessible for everyone. That's a dream. That's a goal.
That's great. No, so actually, for the people who are involved in the sports community, we see a lot of the activity that you guys have been up to, and it's actually posted on your social media pages, right? Your respective social media pages. What's the mandate of the Philippine Olympians Association, and how can what do the Olympians look forward to with this association, and how can the public get involved?
Public. Well, the Philippine Olympians Association is for Filipino Olympians. So if you're an Olympian, you're automatically a member. It's to provide fellowship, but also we try to help our Olympians however way we can. We're not being funded by any organization. There are grants available to us, but if we can help them with the transitioning from life after, if we can help them financially when in their time of need, we've done that as well. And there are a lot of programs available to us through the World Olympians Associations. There are grants for service to society and service to Olympians, and so they help us do meaningful work in our localized where we are. We do a lot of we have general assemblies every 4 years, gatherings. Yeah, I think the POA, we just want to be relevant and be meaningful however way we can. And so like this past year, we've done a lot in nurturing our relationships with the different stakeholders, with the PSC, with the POC, because we're all partners and we need one another. And I know the Olympians, have a role to play. It's such a platform that we have, and so we're trying to do something meaningful and good.
That's great.
Support. Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just thinking about how people can support us. We're always trying to find people to partner with. One of the projects we wanted to do was something for the environment, and so we try to link up with people that are already doing the work. And
yeah, that's great. No, so parang it's like, of course, the Olympians have brought a lot of honor to the country, and it's nice that there's the Olympian Association that's really helping them out transition to like what they can do beyond their competitive sports careers, right? And I like the angle on inspiring and teaching other children to get into sports as well, because that's one of the key areas where the Olympians as icons can really help out. And hopefully it's also aligned with our vision on helping progress Philippine sports, at least one initiative at a time. So yeah, best of luck with the efforts on the POA, and best of luck also in trying to pull in support especially from the private sector.
Yeah, so Akiko, besides the POA, what else is keeping you busy? I mean, with the swim school at a halt right now, how's everything? How's family?
I'm really blessed that my husband was able to find work even despite COVID, and so it puts a little ease there. But I've actually recently an opportunity came up for Olympians to be assessors of schools, and so it's a AFEC program, athlete friendly schools, and it's a program that's being run by the World Academy of Sports and the IB curriculum. So I applied. I took these online classes, and we're hopefully, God willing, next year we'll be doing some assessing schools to see how, I don't know if equip's the right word, but if they're looking at all the needs to help the student athlete blossom in not just athletically but academically as well. So that's been something fun that I've been doing. God willing, the swim school will be back. I don't know, sometime this year.
Yeah, we're all hoping for that. I think for sports in general to just get back and continue on, because with our kids just really stuck at home. Yeah, it's quite it's sad to see. Just being here and not being able to go out. I mean, we're able to take them on rides, but not really go down and do the normal stuff. And I guess this is something that we just have to be patient and wait for. But it's a good thing that you're doing. Trying to keep yourself busy and productive besides other things, and try to still stay relevant to the sport. So best of luck.
So, wow, you've been doing a lot of things lately, and of course, I mean, you have your own challenges. You're going through your own challenges also, and also you're doing a lot of great things. But we're gonna do a bit of a throwback, and you growing up, you were no strangers to sacrifice, and you were no stranger to sacrifices, and one of the biggest ones you made was your move to the States to train. And could you tell us more about how you ended up having to move?
Yeah, so I was, I had joined the national team when I was 12, 13, and was training. That was the time when the national team was really, we had a lot of people on the team, and it was a big group that we were training at the University of Life. And then there came a point where it just fizzled down to just me and my coach, Pinky Brosas. And he felt that it was time for me, if I wanted to go to the next level, that I needed to go abroad. And I mean, you can imagine how boring and hard it is to just, one-on-one coaching. You need to be, it's better to be a small fish in a big pool than a big fish in a small pool. So he, we were able to find through the POC, there's a Olympic Solidarity funds, and they typically send a lot of athletes abroad to train. And so through that, I was sent to USC, Southern Cal, with Eric Buhain to train. It was supposed to be for the summer, but the program was just going so well that I ended up, we found a way for me to basically stay on for the whole year. I finished my senior year of high school in the US, and I lived with a foster family. The reason being is because their son was training for the Canadian Olympic team. He was also going to be a senior in high school. And so it just worked out so well for me to live with their family, go to that high school and train. My senior year of high school, I went to the US, and it was very challenging. Obviously, not having any friends, but it was an opportunity also I couldn't pass up, and the program was just going so well.
And how is it like, having to train abroad and having to leave your family behind? And I know you're really close to your family, so how was that like?
it was hard. But initially, I only thought I was going for the summer. So, okay lang, I'll be back. But then it was for the whole year. But, at that time, I look back at that period and I feel like it was shifting gears from third gear to fourth gear. And, I guess I was just we were all so focused on preparing for the SEA Games and the Olympics that I don't know how I was able to do it, but by the grace of God, I often tell people I just feel like I felt like I was being sent on a mission by the government, and I just had to go there and do the best I could. But it was hard, I had family 40 minutes away, who I would see in the weekends, but yeah, it's lonely.
I find it fun. I like that you mentioned you felt like you're on a mission. And of course, it becomes a personal mission as well to be able to do all these things. I mean, when you're a top athlete or really a top performer, pressure comes from different sources, and sometimes maybe from your coach, maybe from your family, maybe from your supporters, and even yourself. And when you're representing the country, there's that sense of duty that you gotta make your country proud. You share with us an interesting story about the 1991 Southeast Asian Games held in the Philippines,
Yes.
and how the Philippines ended up being behind Indonesia by 1 gold. And you said you kind of blamed yourself for that. Why is that?
Yeah, that was a painful lesson for me, but a very powerful lesson for me also. At that Southeast Asian Games in 1991, we were hosting it, so it was a big deal, and it was so amazing for any athlete just to have the home crowd there. I won 2 gold medals and 2 silvers, and after one of my silver medal in the 50 free, it was really hairline loss. We were going back to the hotel, and this doorman said to me, "Mom, bakit ka nag-second?" And it was a very it took me by surprise. I was like, oh my gosh, it was sad. I went up to the room and I just started crying because I felt like I really let down the country. And I guess it heightened by the fact that, as you said, the country lost the overall championship by 1 goal. So of course in my mind I'm thinking, man, if I just got those 2 golds, we would have, So yeah, it was a painful lesson, but it was also a very good one because I realized from that just that I wasn't going to be able to satisfy everyone's expectations of me, and that everyone will always have different expectations for me. And so I just had, it just got me thinking about why am I doing what I'm doing, and what is really the only thing I could ever ask of myself is to just do my best, and really that's more than enough. And so it was just a good lesson, painful but good lesson.
To do your best. So uh, it's interesting that you mentioned that you have to be able to find mean, and you asked yourself, why are you doing this? And in our previous episode, Doc Marissa mentioned the value of developing your personal meaning. So to you, what does doing your best mean? If you're yeah, what is that to you?
Well, it's basically showing up for workout, right? I mean, you do the work that's expected of you, and by your coaches, and you trust the program, and you do the best you can, and then you trust your coach that he knows what we're doing, the path we're taking, and then come competition, because there's a whole science, as you guys all know. There's a whole science to training. When you're going to put on the heavy load, when you back off, and just yeah. And so come competition, I mean, when you know that you've done the work, then it makes, I think that's where you have a sense of peace when you're racing, because you've done everything that you possibly can, and now it's just showtime. Go out there, have fun, and race. Yeah, I enjoy racing. I'm very competitive by nature, so it was something that I actually enjoyed doing.
if you were to define what's excellence to you?
I think that's very personal. I mean, for me, it's just, again, I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's just knowing that with anything, even in my work now, it's just knowing that I've done the best possible job. I'm not, okay na to. I have I think I have certain principles I like to finish what I start. I just like to, I don't like work that's just, I think it's a reflection of us. And so I want to be able to be proud and know that I'm not, but I think the coach also plays a very important role in pushing us, because sometimes it's so painful that and the coach knows how much more you can go, and they'll push you to your limit. And so, it's just always giving it your best in training.
So, what we do is a reflection of us. We have to highlight that, because I mean, if it's not only just you're doing, it's not because you're just doing it for the country, but you're also doing it for yourself. It's an internal purpose as well, and it just so happens it's also your duty, as a top athlete, as a performer, to.
But Simone, you know what? It's such a privilege, really, to represent the country. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I've just been so blessed. For someone who had no aspirations of going to the Olympics, to have been directed and had all the people that came into my life to make it such, is really it's such a gift.
Yeah. What a journey you've had, though. I mean, all those things adding up to you competing in 3 Olympics even. And that's coming from, like, you didn't exactly have a concrete plan in mind. That's very interesting. But if you were to remember your best or most memorable season, how would you describe that? How, like the times that you performed the best, that you feel like you performed the best, or it's just the generally most memorable time as a swimmer. How was it like?
It was also the most painful, just leading up to it. When I talk about the time in the U.S., it was so intense. I didn't menstruate for almost a whole year. It just affected me physically. I was also on a diet, and it was so intense. But having said that, with all my races, I always knew, when you're on the starting block and there's just quiet, and there's the quiet confidence, then I kind of, it's the work's been done na, the thing is, Simone, you don't just, it's a gradual process of learning how to deal with your jitters, your whole routine. And I guess, but just to answer your question, there's just a quiet confidence on the ready bench. I've done the work. Now it's just time to have fun and race and execute. That, and when my mind is still, that's when I always know that I'm in a good place.
Yeah, we'd like to dig in deeper into that, what's happening in your head before all these things, or having to deal with these different responsibilities that you have. So I'm going to hand you over to Robbie and Relly now. So, Robbie?
Thanks so much, Sim and Akiko. So many notes already from what has been discussed so far. I like where you ended off with the quiet confidence. Let's dig in deeper with that later on. But I'd like to start with a few notes that I took down already. I really like what you said on excellence being personal, and because it's a reflection of you, right? And that's the reason why you hold yourself in high regard, because it reflects on you and the mission that you imposed upon yourself, right? I like that because it shows necessity, and necessity is actually one of those habits of high performers, and it's that habit that actually, when you talked about having that meaningful motivation, it's actually that habit that allows us to see things through, especially in tough challenges. And I also like that point you raised on the doorman incident. It's actually very interesting, and it just shows the pressure that you put upon yourself. Imagine you are putting the hopes of the country on your back, and that's not an easy feat for a mere mortal. You know what I mean? So what I'd like to say is, we've worked a lot and encountered a lot of each other back in your time in the PSC, and back in when you were still when you were also an ambassador for Milo back in the day. So, and I noticed that you carry yourself around with a lot of confidence. You seem very sure of yourself in the various roles that you've played so far. So, as an athlete, as a television host, as a leader, and as a parent. So, when we had that pre-discussion, you remember this, it was quite surprising for us to learn that of all these challenges that you had in your life journey so far, you shared with us that you actually had fear coming into these respective challenges. So, can you take us through the revelation and what these moments were in your life that brought out those fears?
I'll preface it by saying I'm a good actress, aren't I? No, no, but really, no. Even from the get-go, when I told you I started swimming at 6 years old for the pure fun, and then when I was invited to join the national team, that entailed me leaving my club team, me leaving my siblings, and for a 11, 12-year-old girl, that's kind of scary, and you kind of don't want to leave the comforts of your siblings also. And so I just remember, kind of just like crying and sitting down with my coach and just not sure yet. I'm grateful that through the conversations with the coach, through the conversations with my parents, I came to realize that, wow, this is an opportunity that doesn't come every day. And it's either you welcome it or it goes away. And so I'm just thankful that I did, because really, that just brought me to a different level of sport. And, the club swimming was first gear, national team, that's second, third gear. You start lifting weights, dry land stuff, and just so it's a gradual increment. But yes, Robbie, it's something that I think for anyone, any change is scary, and especially if it's something that you hadn't planned on. The other example I often give also was after when I was invited to join the PSC as a commissioner. Working in government was the last thing on my radar, really. I just didn't think me. And so I remember just, the chairman at the time called me in, wanted to talk to me, and I went in and I was just like, and I just had to pray over it and go home and just talk to my dad and again realized that this was also such a wonderful opportunity again to serve, not just swimming, because I had always been involved in my sport, giving back in one capacity, but to help other sports as well. And so I did it afraid. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I think that it's the unknown and not sure. The unknown. But I'm so glad that I entered into these things because, you don't want to be, fear can hold you back, right? You really just need to step into them and face them so that they lose control over you, really. I have to tell you something, Robbie, though. I was reading something today just by chance, and it said that courage is a skill, which made me, when I thought about it, it made me realize it's like a muscle that you have to just develop. And it doesn't mean that it gets any easier. I just recently had to face another fear, I can tell you if you want me to, but it's, and I guess I notice in each time, I just need time to pause and reflect and speak to people that mentor, people I look up to, and really just pray about it.
That's perfect. So exactly. So I like what the point on what you mentioned on courage being a skill that can be developed like a muscle, right? So directly connected to that, how did you address those challenges?
The fear?
Yeah.
I walked into them. I did it afraid. I did it afraid. And, sure enough, I actually had fun training with the national team. It was hard, yeah, but I met all these new people, and I got to compete at my first ASEAN age group in Bangkok, and that was so cool. So I guess you just have to one step at a time, and trust that the Lord will provide the people, the grace that you need to just know what you need to do. I mean, I say this in reference to PSC because, yeah.
I can imagine the challenge, no? I want to throw it back to that example that you told us when you were so tired from the workouts that you were doing back in your senior high, and that the tip that you mentioned to us was that when you in that challenge, you mentioned to show up, face your fear, and be all there. Can you take us through that experience, and then what does that mean for us to be all there?
Are you talking about the time I ditched workout?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. This is like one of the only times that I've actually done it. But, it was just waking up at 4:30 in the morning. We had this whole routine. Mike was a guy that I was training with. We'd have our oatmeal before and drive to the pool 30 minutes to get there. It was just it was tiring. We were training twice a day, and we'd go home afterwards, go to school, go back home, go to the pool. It was really tiring. And there was just one day we just said, let's just rest. So we drove all the way to the parking lot, and we just slept in the car, and we went home. And it was, we thought we got away with it, but then we came back later that afternoon, and our coach didn't say a word to us. He just wrote the workout on the board, and it was this crazy workout, and 100 100s in a 25-yard pool. 25 yards is very short, so you're going back and back and back. It was, but it was, we learned our lesson, and yeah, it was. Yeah, it was an ugly lesson, but not to do it again.
Right. No. So I can only imagine, like, because like for the athletes in the audience, right? So they've been there. They've seen like what a hell week is, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes the motivation isn't enough to pick yourself up in the morning. But what I like about what you said was that you signed up for this. So if you signed up
Yeah.
for this, and you dedicate yourself to this mission, you need to be all there. That's what you said, right? You wanted to say
I
something.
have, yeah, no, I have to say, I think I get that from my father because, even growing up when we were not even in that competitive yet swimming, when we joined the club team, we couldn't just decide, oh, we'll go today, tomorrow, no, we'll stay home, next day we'll go. If we signed up for something, we had to be there. And um, we were required to play piano every day for an hour a day. It was just something, yeah, exactly what you said. You sign up for something, you show up, you do, you don't just pick and choose. So I think that's something that has carried with me just through life.
That's great. So, taking it back a little bit lang, you said that earlier on, the fear served a purpose. Can you remind us what that purpose fear played in your journey?
Robbie, I think that fear was just, I want to do a good job. I guess the fear of not doing a good job, the fear of not knowing what to do, the fear of, I guess, failure in that sense. I think that's where it comes from. And yeah, I mean, the lesson, yeah, it's, I don't know. I think sometimes it's bigger than it actually is. I mean, yeah.
Right. No, so if I can maybe process that a little bit, I think what you're saying is the fear that we imagined is actually bigger than what it actually is. I think that's what you were trying to say, right? So, and
Yeah.
yeah, and
I
and
mean, it's there's still hard work, but it's one day at a time, one step at a time, and then it yeah, it does. I mean, it doesn't get easier. It's workout is workout. It's hard, but you just there's when I think about the PSC, you just kind of you get used to it. You kind of know what you're supposed to do.
gotcha. We understand you there, and actually, we have the fear to thank you for, because without that driving force, I don't think you would have achieved, these accolades that you have so far in your athletic career, and what you've achieved even after that with your contributions in like to sports, right? So thanks so much for that. I turn you over to Relly because what we want to dig deeper into now is how beyond the mentality of how fear played in a factor into your success, right? So Relly, take it away.
Thanks, Rob. Wow, learning a lot from you, Akiko. And
Talaga?
yeah, of course. See, I'm a good actor too. Just kidding. No, but I think it's refreshing. It's refreshing for even the audience to know, to hear it from you, an elite athlete, Olympian. That the fear is always there. The fear is in everyone. The fear of failure. But knowing that you just really have to face it, and
Yes.
go through it, right? And of course, you mentioned about with your dad about being there, be there or be all you can be. I don't know, just be there and commit to something. This is something that's pretty much absent nowadays for the new generation, where given a chance that if they're in sports and they can stay home with their mobile phones, that's really a tough decision right now. But yeah, I think it needs to come back, to be able to
Yeah.
commit to something that you signed up for. And it's a good lesson for me as well, as parents. I mean, with Rob as well. So okay, so you mentioned that you've done things pretty much afraid, right? Including all your accomplishments, but each time you tell yourself that in order to beat it, you must be able to face it head on, which you just mentioned. Given this, now faced with these fears in front of you, the question on everyone's mind is, what do you do to overcome this fear? How do you pounce on it?
Ooh, how do I pounce on it? Oh my gosh, it's still there. It always tries to get its ugly head out. I mean, I feel like I'm just recently, my husband and I were invited to join the Special Olympics board, and I always knew we would be involved in this world, advocate, be part somehow because of my daughter who has Down syndrome. But I thought I would just, ease my way into it first, because this is a whole new world for me. I know nothing about it, but everyone on this board is brand new. And, everyone, the lawyer there is our legal, blah, blah, blah. And so it came down, they were trying to decide who was going to be the president, the chairman. And, it came down to either my husband or me. And I knew that I couldn't weigh chips down with additional work. And I knew that, I just couldn't do that to him. So I was very reluctant again and fear again, because gosh, what am I going to do? This is a whole new world. But you know what? I'm walking by faith, really. I'm walking by faith. And I'm just putting one step in front of the other, trusting that the people that I need to be in contact with, the partners will come. And what better time than now also, right? I mean, again, it's the same thing, opportunity. This is a wonderful opportunity also to just advocate for our children with intellectual disabilities. So Yeah, it's I think for everyone it's always, maybe some more than others. Some people perhaps are just really lots of confidence in themselves, but I think it'll always show up in one form or another, and you just have to recognize it really, and just but for me it was also realizing that it just made perfect sense, right? Sports and special needs. I mean, what a beautiful merge of something that is so relevant to me, and yeah. So just do it afraid.
Yeah, but going back, I think so sports and special needs, you've taken on the responsibility, right? And of course, with that kind of responsibility, it's really, of course, you're saying that this is something new to you and you haven't encountered it. But of course, in order to master it, right? There's a lot of work that has to go into it, right? So how much work have you put into this? I take it that you are now the head of the special needs
Well,
that group, right?
I don't know if I should be announcing it yet because it hasn't actually been enough. So no, no, really, it's really very new, and so we just got our papers together,
Uh-huh.
and so I was slowly getting more and more familiar with the programs that we have, and it's funny, these opportunities are coming for me to. I don't know how they came, but just I'm speaking at this thing about our the importance of physical activity and wellness for our children with special needs. And so yeah, I think God has a way of just like confirming your footsteps and knowing you're where you're supposed to be.
And I like how your mindset towards this, right? I think it's just
Embrace.
yeah, embrace it, know more about it, do your research. I think it's really more of really just putting in the work, being able to master it. I think based on your track record, that's what you've always done, right?
You have to have the heart also, really. I just it's something that resonates.
Definitely, of course. I mean, this and this,
And
the
work, work,
same,
work,
right?
work, work.
I'm all heart, all that. But yeah, but it's great. It's great. That's great that you've taken on this new role, and and we're very confident that you'll do very well. Now, okay, let's talk about the importance of family. Like right now with Chips and your kids, and then of course with your parents, with Josh and Julia, I think, and everyone else. So um, you even had even the presence of coaches that you've looked up to, and even foster parents that you've stayed with, right, in the States. They have actually helped you handle all sorts of pressure, right, especially in your swimming career. I can't imagine how you can take it all in and develop this at such an early age, right? You said 11, 12 years old, you were taken away. How have they helped you cope with this?
Really, I wouldn't have been able to achieve whatever I was able to achieve without they are part of making it happen. Honestly, oh my gosh, my dad, when I joined the national team, he was the one that would drive me to the pool when I still couldn't drive. He would drive me early in the morning. My mom went to every single competition I went to, my mom is Japanese, so she's not very in your face, very quiet, but the presence is there. Yeah, and so just I come. My family's very close, and I give them so much credit. My father always knew. What I'm so grateful for is, there's a role that the parents play, and they have to work with the coaches, but there has to be such trust also, and because I think a lot of parents also over interfere, and they think they know better, but my dad always had great communication with my coaches, just asking kind of what he could do to support, but was always let the coach do what they do best. And with my coaches, really, I was just so blessed to have coaches who really, they're good people who cared about me as an individual. It wasn't just important that I was a good swimmer. I had to have grades. I had to be a good girl. I mean, not a smart ass or, whatever. And the coaches also, at some point, I realized this afterwards, but they were also kind of shielding me from, because there could be a lot of negative press or negative things that people are saying to you. And so if you don't need to hear those stuff, yeah, they found a way to always kind of give me what they knew I needed. So really, they're part and parcel of whatever success that I couldn't have done it alone, really.
And I guess, the deeper, meaning to this one is, they've actually helped you grow up, as a person, as a tween to a teenager to, really experience what it is to grow up, right?
Really, I wasn't, I think I'm disciplined because it was the journey, the path that I took. I mean, yes, of course, my dad was a strict disciplinarian, and so that helped. But I think, the whole regiment, when you start them young, really it becomes the only life they know. And I mean, I wasn't, you're not asked to do so much all at once. There's small sacrifices that you make, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and then you're, and so it was a build-up. Really, it wasn't something that I just, I'm a disciplined girl, I can whatever. No, it's just, yeah, incremental.
I see. Well, I guess, we just grew up the same, right? Experience the same things that a normal person would experience. But yeah, I think what's important here is that, you're able to, keep focus and stay within the objective, right? Within the career. So, all right. So I guess, with all this, right? Everything that you do afraid, doing all the work, is this something that you recommend to our audience that, you should have this, you should be able to take this on and, be not afraid and just face it?
I think it's important that for people just to always realize it's normal. Everyone has fears, and it's just something that we just have to be conscious about when it shows its head up, and just for me again, just pausing, reflecting, just making sure this is where I'm supposed to be, and if so, proceeding and just trusting the journey, not being, because fear, I think, can really hold you back if and you will never reach your potential or what you can do if you don't do it because you're afraid of what might happen or afraid you won't succeed.
That's right. I mean, it'll always be there, especially when it comes to new challenges, which we all experience, even our audience experience. But I guess with the right training and the right
Weren't you guys afraid starting this podcast?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What am I doing?
I don't talk much, but yeah, but yeah,
Look
I guess
at this.
But you see,
And it's
just happening. It's just happening,
and it's so awesome. Look at it's yeah.
I love it. So hey, thanks for giving us insights. And again, we all put in the work, and if we do this all the time, we're just gonna go places. We'll be successful. So thank you. I'll turn you over now to Sim for the summary.
Thank you, Relly. So it takes a village to raise a champion. And, Akiko, if you shared so much with us today, and we super love your enthusiasm, how you've shifted from like being very energetic, and you got into game mode also at some point. But if you were to share with our audience today some key takeaways, what would that be?
Just from my own personal experience, one of the painful lessons have also been the best lessons for me. As I was sharing with you, Simone, earlier, being conscious of why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for. That was something, a very important lesson for me to learn. Is just that doing my best was more than enough, and that I wasn't going to be able to satisfy everyone's expectations of me. That's too much. Another thing I think is that, fear is part of life. We all have that, especially when we transition into new seasons of life and embarking on something that is unfamiliar. But with research, with hard work, with, just with faith also, just moving forward one small step at a time, you realize that it wasn't actually all that scary or all that, you just create this monster that's not a monster. And also just finally, just the importance of your tribe. It's not a solo journey. I needed my family. I needed my coaches. So many pieces for me in the puzzle that enabled me to reach my potential to go as far as I did. Yeah.
Thanks, Akiko. And there you have it, guys. Akiko Thomson-Guevara's top 3 tips on how we can develop courage are: 1, know that excellence is personal; 2, show up, face your fear, and be all there; and 3, you gotta put in the work to overcome the fear. Now it's time for our next segment that we call Crunch Time. All right, Akiko, we're gonna throw you some questions, and you're gonna have to answer them as fast as you can. And there's no
Be nice.
Yeah,
Be kind.
nice.
Don't worry, we will.
But there's no need to explain, all right? Unless we can't help but ask. All right?
Okay.
Ready? Okay. 1. Are you a sports person or a sports fan?
Sports person.
Favorite sport?
Oh, give in. Swimming.
Favorite sports film?
That's hard. Does Seabiscuit count?
Yeah.
I bought the DVD and I watched it multiple times because I liked it.
Okay. Favorite all-time sports coach?
Well, Terry and Pinky, who are both my coaches and different phases of my life.
All right.
End goals or process goals?
Process.
It's funny you mentioned Seabiscuit because I remember Vince Santos, who was our then program director in Ateneo Football, also made us watch Seabiscuit as an
Did you like it?
Yeah, we loved it, yeah.
He made you watch it?
Building seminar. Yeah, he made us watch it, man.
Oh, see?
Okay.
Watch it, really.
Toby
Most
Maguire?
memorable sports experience.
What's that? Say it again.
Most memorable sports experience.
Oh, 1991 SEA Games in Manila. They were chanting our names. It was awesome.
Other sport you could excel in other than swimming?
What, say that if I could excel in anything else?
Yeah, in any other sport other than swimming.
Wow. Oh, trap shooting.
Interesting.
I like that.
Okay, athlete you admired the most?
2. Paeng Nepomuceno and Roger Federer. Such graceful longevity. I mean,
Nice.
Okay, favorite historical film.
favorite historical film. Holy smokes. Do I have,
Comes to mind.
well, my husband and I are watching Last Kingdom. I don't think it's based on actual the last thing that I would normally watch. It's too gruesome, but I'm actually getting into it.
This one, favorite biographical film other than
Oh gosh, I can't think of any. I really can't. Sorry, if I remember, I just can't think of anything. But I know there is. I know there is, but I just can't think of it right now.
All right.
Okay.
Next question.
Most inspiring speaker.
Hirap naman to.
What comes to mind?
Well, it's not the most inspiring. But it's not the most inspiring. But I was listening to Merkel's Harvard commencement speech. But there was another. I don't know his name, but it was a African American man, which was really inspiring. I don't know the name. See, I told you. No, it wasn't Denzel. He wasn't someone famous, actually.
Okay.
Favorite food?
I like Indian. I like Thai. I like Japanese.
Yummy.
What's on the top of the list for your hobbies now?
Gosh. Well, on the occasion, I play the piano. I'm reading. I read on the occasion. I try to read a chapter or two at night. And on the occasion, I watch some Netflix with my husband.
Nice. The ocean or the mountains?
Ocean!
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. Superpower. It would be great if forgiveness. I mean, if you not holding grudges, but maybe that's something we all can develop.
That's great. And, these answers to that question with our previous guests are really good.
My next question.
Tama na! Sobra na!
Sige, last two. Life purpose in 3 words.
I want my life to count. Not in 3 words. Sorry. Because I just feel like life is so short, and you just do the best you can where you're at, and yeah. So that's not 3 words. I don't know.
Okay, last question. Favorite quote?
Be all there. I don't know. Short and simple, right?
That's
Be
great.
all there. Nice.
These are actually 3 words.
That's right. I'm still thinking about my favorite autobiographical. I think I watched Anya Suki's life story, but I don't know if that's my favorite.
It's good, despite that. Yeah. So, Sim?
We'll share it next time once you remember. But ding, 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 ding. All right. Crunch time is done. Thank you so much, Akiko, for being super game for this, even if you wanted it to end already. And now we've come to the end of the episode for our final messages. Relly and Robbie, let's share with our teammates what we have in store for them in our next episodes.
Thanks, Sim. Teammates, I hope you enjoyed our session today. Thank you again for joining us. Please do share your thoughts with us on Facebook and tag the Gold Diggers page, or you could simply share our posts or comment on our video uploads on Facebook and YouTube. We'd really love to hear from you guys, and thank you also to everyone who has followed us on our Facebook page and subscribed to our YouTube page. Even if you haven't liked or followed us, we hope you can click that button and continue to dig in with us. Our next episode is with billiard world champion Rubilen Bing Amit. This is next Saturday. Got any questions for Bing? Feel free to message us on our Facebook page. See you again, teammates, and hope you enjoyed. Robbie?
Thank you, Relly. So, Akiko, your life story so far is one of courage and, more importantly, greatness. And we thank you so much for the time, the wisdom, the experience, your candor that you shared with us and the rest of our listeners. So thanks to people like you, there's a lot that we can learn from in sports, and especially in overcoming fear and anxiety and really moving forward. So thank you so much. Teammates,
Thank
we're
you.
very happy to share that we began the Gold Diggers Mental Health Minute in partnership with Rock Ed Philippines just last week. And we realized that the mental game is an aspect that daily grinders need to work on. And the Mental Health Minute is one way that we can help provide tangible tips 1 minute at a time. So please join us. Join our fellow Gold Digger, Gang Badoy Kapati, on Thursday on the Gold Diggers social media pages and get those mental reps in. So check out Gold Diggers Mental Health Minute on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, as well as our Spotify for more details. So to our teammates in Rock Ed Philippines, thank you very much for what you do. And lastly, let's continue to raise funds for our advocacy, Pitch and PH, and let's continue helping out our fellow Filipinos who are in most need. Please follow our Facebook page for more details on how you too can learn how to pitch in for PH. So over to the woman of the hour, Akiko Thomson-Guevara, your final message for this episode.
Thank you guys for having me today. Congratulations to you guys also for just what a wonderful thing that was birthed in the time of COVID, and yeah, keep on inspiring, and you're doing a great job. I hope there's some gold nuggets in today's episode, and thank you for the privilege.
And now, since we come to the end of our episode, I can finally say that Akiko, I'm such a huge fan. I hope it didn't show. I've been fangirling. But yeah, and that ends our session for today. Catch you on the next episode of The Goal Diggers. Remember to dream, dig in, and win. See you on our next episode.